Alright, so this is the last section of our percent of a number wheel. So now we're going to be looking at what if the question is asking 95 is 25% of what number? So we're not looking for 25% of 95. We know that 95 is 25% of a whole number. So if you see here, it says whole equals part divided by the percentage. So we have our part, which is 95, and we need to divide it by 25%. And remember, whenever we're dividing percentages, we can't leave it as a percent. We need to turn it into a decimal. 25%, move the decimal 2 times to the left, it's going to equal 0 and 25 hundredths. So that's our denominator. Okay, so for this one, remember, it's the numerator divided by the denominator. So this is going to be inside the house, this is going to be outside the house. So we have 95 divided by 0 and 25 hundredths. Now remember, when we are dividing decimals, first thing you got to do is if the decimal is outside of the house, if the decimal is the divisor, you need to move the decimal 2 times to the right to make it a whole number. Then you got to take the decimal inside the house, or the dividend, and you got to move that 2 times to the right. So we're left with 25. How many times does 25 go into 9500? Okay, 25 can go into 95 3 times, because 25 times 3 is 75. 95 minus 75 is 20. Bring down the 0. 25 goes into 200 8 times, because 25 times 4 is 100, but we're doing 200, so it's 4 times 2, which is 8. Okay, so 25 times 8, and that's how you can do really quick mental math as long as you remember your baseline math facts. 8 times 25 is 200, and so we need to bring down our 0. 25 goes into 0 0 times, so we're left with 380. That is our whole. Okay, 95 is 25% of 380. Okay, so this is our part, this is the percentage, this is our whole. So 95 over 380 is 25%. Okay, so same thing here. 80 is 20% of what number? Okay, or wait, hold on. Before we move on to that one, we got to look at this section again. Percent over 100 equals is over of. We've done that for all of them. Okay, so 25 over 100, because that's our percent, equals 95, and we need to find our whole. So the same method that we used for the last 2 problems, 25, we're going to cross multiply. 25 times x equals 100 times 95, which is 9,500. Then if you divide each side by 25 to get rid of the 25, you're left with x equals 380. Okay, because 9,500 divided by 25 is 380. It's the same method that we're doing here, except we're just doing simple division. But if you need to see it in this way, that's okay too. Okay, so let's do 80 is 20% of what number? Okay, so the same method that we had here. What is our part? What is our percentage? Our part is 80. And we need to divide that by our percent. Percent is 20%. But again, we have to make sure that it is in decimal form. So our 20%, move the decimal 2 times to the left, it is 0 and 20 hundredths, or 0 and 2 tenths. Okay, so I ran out of room again. So here, I'm going to take scratch paper again. Okay, so if we have 80, remember 80 is inside the house, because that's our numerator, divided by 0, and 20 hundredths. That's outside the house. Okay, so we gotta move the decimal 2 times to the right. So the decimal here also needs to move 2 times to the right. So we're left with 20. How many times does 20 go into 8,000? And I already know this mentally in my head, but let's just go through it. 20 goes into 80 4 times, because 4 times 8 is 8. 4 times 0 is 0. Bring down the 0. 20 goes into 0, 0 times, 0, and 0. 20 goes into 0, 0 times, so we're left with 400. Okay, so that is our number. So 80 is over 400. That's our whole. 80 over 400 is 20%, or 80 is 20% of 400. Okay, so if you have any questions, please make sure to raise your hand, or make sure to rewind the video, look over it again if you are confused about any part of it. But the purpose of looking at this wheel is because when you're looking at percentages, they ask you different each percent question is not asking you the same question over and over. This one is asking you what is 20% of 50, which is completely different from what percent of 15 is 12, and completely different from 95 is 20%. It's not moving around. 95 is 25% of what number? So when you look, the purpose of looking at this wheel is to just kind of remind you of what you need to do in order to find the correct answer. For what is 20% of 50, it's simple. You just gotta multiply the percentage times the whole so you can find your part. What percent of 15 is 12? You're looking for the percentage, so the percentage equals the part divided by the whole. And then for 95 is 25% of what number? They're asking you to find the whole, okay, which equals the part divided by the percentage. Okay, so now that we finish all 3 sections of this paper, again, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we'll try to answer them as best as possible. And what I need you to do is do the rest of the problems on the side. 92 is 80% of what number? 39 is 60% of what number? And I forgot this little guy on the last one, so do this one right now as well. 75 is what percent of 200? Now, once you have finished all of this and you've done it correctly and there's still time, I would like you to color it in, because I know some of you are itching to color in all of these geographic parts and to color in the part in the whole and everything that looks like it can be colored in. Okay, so I would like you to color those in. I don't want you to color in the actual windows, because then it'll be really hard to see your writing, but everything else can be colored in, especially this part right here. That needs to be colored in as well. All right, so again, you need to finish all of the problems, and each part needs to be stamped, and you need to finish all of the try these on the side before you can start coloring, okay? And I need to see that you finish every single one. All right.